Here at Game Show Forensics, we listen to both evidence and feedback. In our latest episode, we had gotten to the bottom of a claim made by Chuck Woolery that he had never met Pat Sajak.
I don't know Pat, by the way. We've never met.
Really? In that episode, there was a tremendous amount of detail. Too much for some people. The feedback was that there were too many tangents, which we call facts. But as I've said, forensic science, especially game show forensic science, is not for everybody. It takes an exclusive group of people who are willing to stomach the gory details. And on occasion, when such great amount of detail is assembled to get to the bottom of an investigation, lots of editing is required. Not only to make it a fluid presentation, but also to conceal some information that has been deemed classified. And when you combine the fact that several of the clips were taken over the course of different days during different states of thought processes.
Recall order, we need DFW Airport to be the one. And I say they made 20 after me too. Now, how you like that, motherfuckers? Okay. So, little Jim Wright humor there, little Jim Wright jokes. The rare Speaker of the House comedy.
Then you understand why such editing is necessary. However, it has also come to light that some people do not have time to hear an entire investigation timeline. They just want to get to the facts. They just want to get down to the point. And that's fine. I imagine when word got out that JFK had died, some people didn't ask questions. And so, as a courtesy to those who don't have time, or the interest, or the forensic fortitude to hear all of the investigatory details, we present to you this abridged version of the latest episode. Cutting right to the chase of Chuck Woolery on the Pat Sajak Show. Though I must say, if you have not seen the full investigation of how this had all come together, you're only denying yourself of learning about the true, full game show forensic investigation process. But the unabridged episode in its entirety can be seen right here. Either way, you shall see how once again, Game Show Forensics has cracked a case. Enjoy. Without further ado, we take you now to tape 18, footage from my collection, recorded as a teenager, perhaps the only known footage of Chuck Woolery as a guest on the Pat Sajak Show. I didn't watch this. I only scanned the first few moments of it just to make sure that I had it in its entirety, but I did not watch it because I wanted to talk it through with you. So, here we go.
Silver's Nation, NBC's Scrabble. He actually was the original host of Wheel of Fortune when I went on the air in 1975, and then I replaced him, and then, boy, the show really took off. Didn't you think so, Chuck? Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome a nice fellow, Chuck Woolery.
Okay. Well, check that out. It's Geraldo. All right, so check out Tom Scott's little version of the Scrabble theme. That's pretty fucking cool. Tom Scott. Not that Tom Scott. Oh, hey. I know you, Bob. What's up? The other Tom Scott was Pat Sajak's band leader. And while the unfortunate gigs of the Pat Sajak Show and the Chevy Chase Show were his late night talk show band leader opportunities, this guy is a theme song and sax solo legend. He was chosen as one of 10 saxophonists to play at Clinton's inauguration, because Clinton was a sax player, and they had a cool little thing introed by Will Smith, but it's 10 saxophone players, and they all do like a couple of bars of like smooth jazz riff shit. He was chosen as one of the 10, living sax legends, which is an honor, I imagine. And there he is, just cranking out sixlets and triplets and 30-second note riff shits, and the guy's a quality sax player, right? So they could have picked any song as Chuck's walkout. I guess Love Connection is what he's more known for among the mainstream, but pure game show purists love him for his time on Scrabble. Scrabble kind of gets shelved to the back burner of game shows when there's game show discussion, but not only was it a great show, it had a badass theme song. And for Tom Scott to take that theme song and kind of make it like a little ska rendition, that's not only impressive to me, it shows that someone was a Scrabble fan enough to have that be the song and then make a cool little ska rendition of it. Very few people are going to notice that kind of shit, but I dig it. Tom Scott, great shit. All right, let's hear that one more time. Very good, Tom Scott. Carry on, gentlemen.
I'm just fun, and actually, when you did the show, it was a daytime show, and they hadn't started the nighttime show, which is what really.
No, the nighttime show did take off as the daytime did originally.
Yeah, actually, it was a big hit.
The first numbers on Wheel of Fortune the first week were a 38, and it went to a 42. Those were the first 2 weeks on the air, so it was a big.
Did you ever figure it out? What made it work?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think what probably makes most game shows successful, if they're really, truly successful, and that is, of course, the home audience can play. And they can play at any time. They can come on any time during that half hour and play. Plus the fact that there are 3 people playing the same game, and when you're in the home audience, you're always ahead of them.
Fucking watch.
Because you get to play for 3.
I know, it's true.
So, and I think that's, well, you become brilliant in your own home.
One question I've wanted to ask you since I've known you.
What?
Does that watch hurt? It's the biggest damn watch I've ever seen there.
Well, this is, there's a story behind this watch that I'll tell you someday. I did not buy this. This was a gift to me from one of my very good friends in Palm Beach, Florida, and I never take it off because he gave it to me.
Speaking of...
But it does hurt.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, what would you like here?
Kind of like to get in on this.
Good. This is called...
Oh, wait a minute. I want to pick my
I haven't shown you what this is. Wait, this is Earthquake in a Can. Watch this. What? Earthquake in a Can.
Talk show bits.
That's very nice.
99 cents.
But being a former host of Wheel of Fortune, I've always been very partial to ceramic.
Okay, good. All right.
I'll take the chicken.
Happy to do it.
Now, I'll put this close to you. The CBS chicken.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Kind of like the RCA dog.
I appreciate that. Now, so 2 shows are both going great. So people recognize you everywhere you go, right?
Well, yeah, they do. They seem to recognize me more since Wheel of Fortune's on. I was in Beverly Hills not too long ago, and I had a Ferrari, a real pretty Ferrari that now my father-in-law owns.
Right. All right. When I met Chuck, I don't like telling this story because it shattered my childhood admiration for the man. But when I was taping the Lingo Tournament of Champions in 2007, Chuck seemed a bit impatient and not to me, but during the taping of Lingo, there were a couple of board malfunctions and just technical issues that seemed to delay the completion of the taping. And he was getting a little more impatient at the crew over this. It seemed like he was in a hurry, or like he had somewhere to go. And when the taping was over, Heather and I and our opponents were just mingling in the garage on the way out. And I think it was a Lamborghini, not 100% sure, but a car like that just peels out of the parking lot. And we all just kind of jump back, and it's Chuck. He's like tearing out of. He couldn't wait to get the hell out of there. It's like, and it's funny. So so the man likes sports cars. That's cool, and he likes his flashy gold watches, as we've seen over the years on Scrabble. There was always a close-up shot of his wrist when he would hand out money. And the one thing that almost blinded the cameraman was this fucking shiny Rolex. And I mean, the guy was known for his bling. God bless him. Looked good, but I mean, it is not a surprise that he wants us to know that a Ferrari was involved, even though it's likely not going to be relevant in this story. Let's take a look.
I drove it down. There's a store called, well, it doesn't matter. There was a store. I don't want to plug everybody in town, but I parked in front of the store.
But that's why we're here.
Well, I guess so. Anyway, I was walking up and down the street doing some shopping, and people had VCRs and cameras, and I mean, it was just crazy. I had never had the impact of people on me in public like that, and especially in my hometown. So it went on and on and on, and finally I ducked into this one store, and I said, gee, what in the world is going on here today? And the guy said, well, there's a couple of tour buses that came in, and they dropped these people off, and they're taking pictures, and I mean, it was outrageous. So I said, well, thank you. So I got my stuff, and I went out to my car, and as I came out to my pretty car, there was this guy with a camera, and he said, do you mind if I take a picture? And I thought, well, maybe one more. So I said, sure.
Okay, I see where this is going. It's going to be... All right. Apologies. I guess the plug of the fancy car is going to be the punchline to the story. He wanted to take a picture of the car. Okay.
So I struck a pose, and he said, would you mind moving out of the way?
The car, huh?
He could have cared less. He wanted the car.
Boy, they can bring you down fast.
Oh,
just
quick,
when
boy, that big humbler.
When you did Wheel, one of the expressions I remember you using all the time was it dumber than a, what was it?
Dumber than a red brick.
Yeah.
You can't get much dumber than a red brick.
Do you have carry a lot of those homilies around?
Actually, I don't. My mother is the one who is she began all of these things in my life. There was a guy who used to come into town. My father had a called General Sales. It was a little, I got to plug in for him. It was a little, what do I want to say? Fountain of supplies and fountain equipment and candy and things.
Time's up.
Thank you. And a guy came in from New York called Cadillac Jones, and obviously he drove a Cadillac, and he had this Texas hat, this big hat on all the time. And I figured anybody who had a Cadillac had to be rich, and so one day I came in and I talked to Mother, and I was working in the storeroom, and I said, gee, what's the story on Cadillac Jones? My mother had a way of summing everything up, boiling down she could boil it down real quick.
Yeah.
She said, well, what do you want to know about him? I said, well, is he rich? What is he? She said, oh, honey, he's just all hat and no cattle. And she could put things in perspective with a phrase, and so I began to pick up a few of these things. She told me one time, I told me somebody being drunk, and she said, I said, hi, they could duck hunt with a rake.
Where are you from?
I'm from Ashland, Kentucky, the northeastern part of Kentucky, which is not the glamorous part of Kentucky, which is the southwestern part of Kentucky. Thank you. There's one person who's made it in.
Who's heard of it?
Incidentally, there is a park in Ashland, Kentucky, named after Chuck Woolery, and there is a street, Chuck Woolery Way, that runs right through it. And I just thought it's kind of funny to have your home address be on Chuck Woolery Way, and to Whenever I see like a dopey street name, I always kind of picture having to read that out when you're making, say, like hotel reservations or subscribing to something. You have to say over the phone, 1205 Chuck Woolery Way. And they'd be like, Chuck Woolery? Like the host of Scrabble? Yes, that one. Anyway, carry on.
I was born 60 miles from Loretta Lynn's front door.
60 miles? The fucking radius of 60 miles is like several municipalities. I was born in Staten Island. I suppose I was born within 60 miles of like 10 trillion celebrities, right? Okay. 60 miles. All right, go ahead.
Really? Yes,
And we talk like that.
That's right.
And in order to talk like that, you got to look like that.
When did you stop talking like that?
It was as soon as I started looking like that. Took that expression off my face, and bingo, the accent went.
Did you? You knew Ms. White before I did.
I did. I met Vanna her first day in town, as a matter of fact.
All right.
Oh, stop, will you? I met her casually at dinner at someone's home, and we talked. Her opening remark to me was, "Mr. Woolery, I used to watch you on television when I was a little girl."
Oh, we love that.
I choked her for about 3 minutes, and the color came back into her face. But anyway, that's how I met Vanna.
Did she express any desire to go on to?
No, she hadn't.
She expressed any desire at all?
There was a slight desire, but not much. But anyway, later on, over about 6 months, I guess 6 months later, she was up for the show, and I told her what to do to get on the show.
Yeah? And what advice?
I told her to make sure that Merv Griffin and no one knew that they knew me at all, that she had no relationship with me and didn't know me. Yeah. And it helped her a great deal, I think.
Yeah, that is good advice. Chuck is staying around, but I think Geraldo has to run. We don't want to make you late.
Leaving? I got to pick up my kid.
You have to have your kid.
You can just say you got to go, and it's okay.
Isn't everybody else?
It's these hard hitting. Great having you here, Geraldo. Thank you very much. We're going to take a break, and we'll let you go during our commercial.
Kidding.
Don't forget your award. And great having you here. Thanks, Geraldo, very much. Geraldo Rivera, folks.
He's fucking taking off in the middle of a... Okay, so in the 80s, traditionally, in late night talk shows, the first guest has their segment, and then they scoot down the couch and sit there while the second guest comes on, and sometimes can interject, laugh along. Third guest comes out, everyone scoots down one. Everyone stays on the set until the show is over. Maybe during commercial, they might slip out if they had to really go, but to announce on air, Geraldo has to go like he's bailing out of a timeshare dinner at Chili's. He's like, oh, I gotta go get my kid. When you're being asked to appear on a talk show, you think that the schedules would have been cleared. And do you have an hour to go on a late night TV talk show and plug your shit? Can you chill for an hour? Pretty sure if you said I gotta go get my kid, then they would have figured out how to schedule around that or had him on a different episode. And then, I mean, to bail in the middle of a show is something I have not seen and is a little embarrassing, actually. I think it's a statement on, this shit's boring me. These two game show dorks are going to talk it up, and I have nothing to add to this. There's no Al Capone vault to pop opened. And so he had to go get his kid. All right, Geraldo, take off. Hope you get your kid. Jesus. All right. Oh yes. So what do you think so far? It's weird. They're just talking. I imagine there was an effort to show that there was no hard feelings, and this is a perfect way to do this. It doesn't sound like Chuck's promoting anything here. I mean, he hasn't mentioned Scrabble yet. I guess so he's in the middle of hosting it. It's 89. But it just seemed like the intent of this was to clear up any perception of bad blood. All right, so we're back from commercial.
We're back. Chuck Woolery is here. We're talking about Nashville during commercial. You spent some time there. You did some recording.
I was there. I was with 4 major labels and had 1 major hit.
That's right. I know that. I actually have your record at home.
You're kidding.
No,
do you?
Avant-Garde.
You know, I don't think I have it.
Well, perhaps you'd like to borrow it. No, I thought maybe buy it. The group was Avant-Garde.
The group was the Avant-Garde. There were 2 of us.
Was it the Avant-Garde? I just thought it was
Actually,
Avant-Garde.
it could have been Avant-Garde, as a matter of fact.
It's like Village People,
yes,
not the
Village People. It was Avant-Garde.
Yeah, and it was called, the hit was called.
Naturally Stoned.
Yeah. And
it was kind of a pre-drug. Well, now don't snicker.
No,
it was kind of a pre-drug, anti-drug thing, and
I can feel those good vibrations.
Yes, that was back in the Beach Boys days when you could feel vibrations and stuff.
Do you miss singing? Do you get to do any at all?
Yeah, no, I don't do it anymore. Well, the last time I sung on national television, well, no, that's not true. No, that's not true, so I won't say that. I don't miss it. Well, I did it for so many years, and my career kind of rode the crest of an undertow after Naturally Stoned.
Did your mom come up with that one?
No, that was actually Roger Miller, but I stole from him. I steal from everybody.
Sure.
But, it just didn't work out, and instead of hammering away at it, I decided that perhaps I could talk better than I could sing, and sure enough.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you something. People come up to me and say, boy, I bet Chuck looks at the success of Wheel and wishes he hadn't left that show.
This is 100% Pat projecting his own thoughts on Chuck. I mean, this is a subtle gloat. It's almost a sick burn. He's basically roasting Chuck. He wants to, what possible response could Chuck have to that but to deny and say, yeah, it's fine. But this might be where the Merv Griffin mention comes into play. And I think, based on what I'm going to show you shortly, we might need to buckle in.
I know that's not true because I know at the time you felt that was what you want to do, and obviously things are going great for you. Mm-hmm. Can you talk about that time at all?
Well, the time of Wheel, when it kind of came to an end?
Yeah, you were there for 7 years.
I was there for 7 years. My contract was for 7 years. And, of course, the show was incredibly successful. It was not near the intensity of success as the syndicated show brought to it.
Right.
But it always had been the #1 show on the network to that time. And I just had an impasse with the Griffin organization to make compensation. And
you're kidding.
Well, you see, everybody knows that. I mean, he said he ran a real stripped-down, sleek operation. Well, the only problem was...
I'm just here to make trouble.
He put all the weight on. We couldn't get any weight. So I made a hard left there and was real happy to do it.
I'm glad I got into that. Well...
tell it like it is.
I admire that. Geraldo would admire that if he were here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we should. Of course,
you still work for him,
I know, so I'm going to change subjects.
So you have to really change the subject and get on to something else, don't you?
Real quickly.
Well, why did you fucking ask if you're afraid that Merv is watching and is going to have some kind of reaction to this? Let's consider the intent of that question. Sure, everybody was curious to know what was going through Chuck's mind, and even to this day, especially now that Pat is retired and some of the stuff has resurfaced, there's a curiosity. What was the big deal? What was the amount of money we're talking here? Why did Merv not want to give him a raise? Why did Chuck throw this opportunity away? So it's curious. It's a typical American success story, diva, shit going to your head, ego type of deal. And so, yes, there's a curiosity among many people about what exactly happened. It almost, but for the person to ask that question, be the guy that took his place and eventually reaped tens of millions for that. It feels disingenuous. I know that they're giggling and all that, but it just seems like a punk move to ask that question. Maybe Chuck was prepped in advance that question was coming. So he had a very smooth answer. But Pat still, at this moment, at the time of this taping, and Pat still is hosting that show. So it's weird from that perch to sit there and go, how do you like shit now that you fucked up this opportunity? And it's not bring up the fact that I'm the one still reaping the benefits from your fucking up, Chuck. But how does it feel? Like, what were you thinking? That's weird. That's not common. But okay. Continue.
I can really pound this right into the ground.
No, that's hoisted by your own petard, I think that's called. Now,
Geraldo started it.
He did.
He was a little intense, so I'm getting intense.
Yeah, that's good. I like this. I like controversy. Now, but we're going to change the subject anyway.
Okay.
Oh, you really... Here, have some water.
Well, thank you.
Golf. Let's talk about golf. That's a safe subject. You've become a golf nut, haven't you?
Merv used to play golf. We played together. I have the fondest regard for Mr. Griffin.
I'll say that.
But I want to say that.
You have the fondest regard for Mr. Griffin. Do you? Because your actions on Scrabble suggest otherwise. Stay tuned for that. Let's hear the rest of what they have to say.
I have the fondest regard for Mr. Griffin.
I don't want to hear about it.
But I want to say that.
Oh, I know you do.
Because he did, in fact, find me.
That's right.
He wouldn't let me go. Golf.
What?
Golf.
Oh, yeah,
They'll
golf.
bring you back. Golf.
Is his segment up yet?
No, it's never ending.
Yeah. You're out there like every day.
This is late in life. I'm in middle age in case I happen to hit, 89 or 100. So I started late in life, and it does something. Golf is a very strange game. After 2 or 3 months, it's like a narcotic. You have to have more.
So what are you trying to accomplish? I've tried it. I've been out there, and it never captured my...
Well, it's because you didn't do it long enough.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
What are you trying to do? Just beat yourself all the time?
You're playing against the course, not yourself.
Yeah.
Against not other people, but the course. It's also a game that's wonderful because no matter what level you play at, you can handicap and play against anyone.
That's true.
And that's kind of boring, though.
No.
Well, you always get the concept of some kind of, cigar-smoking, fat-bellied guy running around with a little hat on going,
Yeah, I've seen that.
serve him up, Roy. I mean, that's not what golf is.
So do you wear, like, little nice checkered pants?
I do, indeed. I have the Payne Stewart look. I wear the +4s, and I have a little funny hat that I wear. And
Yeah. It sounds adorable.
It's not.
Yeah. Anyway, congratulations.
This is it?
Great.
This is the end?
Yeah. And not a moment too
I have
soon.
to move down.
Maybe the end for all of us.
He wasn't aware that was coming. Okay, so well, I guess since Geraldo had vacated the spot, then the couch is yours, Chuck.
We cut this real short. Yeah, we booked other people in the building to come on and fill up the rest of the A couple of members of the audience to come down and sing later. No.
That wouldn't be a surprise.
No. That's your allotted time.
Oh, okay.
That's it. But it's great having you here.
It's been real nice being here.
What would you like to stay?
Well, yeah, Chuck doesn't have shit to do, right? He can stay. Geraldo, he's got to go get his kid. Chuck's got all fucking night, baby. Let's hang out.
It's been real nice being here.
Would you like to stay? And perhaps you
sure.
could
I can
add
stay.
to something?
Yeah,
All right.
of course.
But don't talk.
Okay.
All right.
So I just sit on the couch and look this way occasionally and go,
Yeah, that's not. If someone says something amusing, just laugh. But no more references to anybody we know.
all right.
Chuck Woolery, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks, Chuck.
Thank you.
Take a break. Glenn Hirsch will be out in a moment. Coming down.
Okay, well that's it. Guess I must have switched over to Johnny to check out the comedic stylings of Jonathan Winters. Okay, well, there we have it. Chuck had appeared on the Pat Sajak Show. Fascinating. Is it possible that Chuck completely forgot that experience 35 years later? Perhaps. So let me ask again. Have you met Pat Sajak, Chuck?
Years. I don't know Pat, by the way. We've never met.
Really? No, really. Tape 18 evidence says otherwise. That's right. That's right. Didn't mean to go out of my way to disprove Chuck Woolery. But spent a good 15 minutes on this guy's show and forgot that. Now, interestingly enough, Chuck Woolery also had a talk show. Now this is a lot more obscure.
Now, are you a natural screamer, or did you have to practice to do this?
I've never practiced.
And we'll be right back in 2 and 2.
Apparently there were 65 episodes, but there are 0 online that I or my crack squad of forensic researchers have found. The actual show itself, the meat of the show, interview portions, monologue, seem to not be existent online. However, it appears that Pat Sajak was a guest on the Chuck Woolery show. So, yes, they both traded appearances on each other's shows. Maybe they didn't hang out, have dinner, but at the very least, they were on each other's shows. That is less forgettable than if they had had dinner once or ran into each other in the hallway or whatever. I mean, this is an appearance on a television show. No matter how much shit you've done, I wouldn't think that you would just forget that. Especially when Chuck is being interviewed now by Steve Doocy about his legacy and his history. He is expected to recall details of his time taping game shows, doing things in the 80s. So to suggest that he has never met Pat Sajak implies that either A, he completely forgot, or B, he didn't want to make it like they were friends. And by denying that he was on Pat's talk show, somehow sold that. I mean, certainly Chuck is aware that the internet is a thing and people can look this up. And now it was a challenge to find. I mean, maybe he, well, I can't imagine Chuck sitting there Googling. Maybe he had an assistant Googling to see if there was evidence of him on the Pat Sajak show. And funny enough, in that website where I could not find Chuck's name in the guest list, it's almost as if he was wiped from it. I mean, at first I was thinking maybe he was a late replacement for a segment that bailed. I mean, hell, if Geraldo can go pick up his kid, then I assume other celebrities might have just outright bailed on their appearance altogether. And as a late replacement, they had Chuck Woolery. But it just seemed to, after watching it seemed a little more prepared and a little more intentional. And, you know, for all intents and purposes, it wasn't a stellar interview, but it was an interview on par with all the Pat Sajak interviews I've seen. I've seen quite a few. Now, I'm going to have to reload here because part 2 of this is how much bad blood was there between Chuck and Merv? And how did Chuck address this, if he ever did? Oh, did he? Oh, did he?
On the next episode of Game Show Forensics, Chuck Woolery embarks on a marathon-length screed of passive-aggressive mockery towards Merv Griffin for 30 fucking days straight. But in the end, will Merv Griffin get the last laugh? Who will win? Or do we all lose? We attempt to reach out to the winner of the 1989 Scrabble Summer Sweepstakes to settle the score. And special guest and game show announcing super legend Rich Fields joins us on this very special episode of Game Show Forensics.